Time for another coffee with Kilroy, or what I like to call beverage in a book. My beverage, can you guess? Yours, well, again, that's up to you. And I hope you are taking my suggestions, that you're having something nice and refreshing. Today, the book, well, I kind of teased this a few episodes back that I was going to break out my favorite of the Minden battle game books, and today is the day. So this is Great War Salvo, Solitaire Tactical World War I Naval Game, 3rd edition, a battle game book from Minden Games, designed by Garry Graber. And I might have a little bit of a bonus content that goes along with this today as well. So let me get a sip here. And let's take a look at this. This is the 3rd edition, so that my sleuthing tells me that maybe there was a couple of previous editions. Now, one thing, I've said this about Minden Games before, that they are typically not self-contained, meaning that they're not books that you necessarily write everything in, and you just need a pencil and a die, and everything is inside the book, and you can keep it in there. A lot of the Minden games, you need to make some components. You need to make a copy of some stuff, or pull some stuff out, or what have you. But there's usually some component construction. Not a lot, but more than some of the other games that are book games or war game books that are coming out now. So this is Great War Salvo. On the back, you have a reference card here. So that's kind of nice that if you don't, this is also in the book, you can make a copy of this and then just leave this, have this out, or flip this book over. I actually, if you look at my Kilroy From the Road series, I went to West Point to visit my son and attend the ceremony from his summer leadership experience. And this is the game I took. I played this on the plane, and I actually took pictures of the charts on my phone, so I had my phone handy and was able to roll and do what I needed to do on the plane. So this is very portable. So let's look inside this book here. Great War Salvo, 3rd edition, Garry Graber, Minden Games. This is in color. That's kind of a nice. Some of the Minden book games or their games are not in full color. This one is in full color. As you can see here, here's your table of contents, and typically it talks about the system and how it's developed over time. And I think they've used this system or pieces of this system in other of their game systems as well. One thing about Minden Games that I've found, they cover a variety of theaters and type of games, as far as land combat and air combat, but I think they have a sweet spot for naval combat. They have several naval games, and I really like their naval games, and this one is my favorite of theirs, and I'll tell you why when we get into this a little bit more. How to use this book, constructing game components. There's what I was telling you about, that sometimes you have to make some components here. Standard rules, game tables, optional rules, multi-ship optional rules. So this can be played multiplayer. You can play it multi-ships solo, and you can play it opposed. But it is designed. It has a built-in solitaire system that works well. This is not an overly complicated game at all, but and I think that's one reason I like it. It simplifies some aspects of at least World War I naval combat to a very easy process, but you still get some feel and make some decisions and get some feel for the theater of war. Scenario rules, there's scenarios, designer notes, narrative damage tables. If you want to add a little bit more flavor or get a little bit more narrative going on there, and that's one thing about solo games. Harking back to B-17, Queen of the Skies, it was about not so much about a game, because in the B-17 and its ilk are charty games. You roll on a chart. you see what happens, you make a few decisions, you roll again, make a few, see what happens, make a few decisions, and rinse and repeat several times. It's not so much about the game mechanisms or the decisions as it is the narrative. You're kind of telling a story as you go along. So what this is trying to do here is there's a lot of just rolling on the chart, making a limited decisions, and then repeating. So they've added some narrative to this. Like there's some extra charts, like if you want to go into some more detail, like on critical damage, or here narrative damage table. So it gets into what really is happening on your ship. So you can again trying to appeal to that player who wants to have a little bit more narrative or a little bit more story to their game. Additional optional rules: sample range grid, warship counters, and there's some of your counters you're going to make, reference cards, and then other designs, so a little bit of advertisements, then credits and notes. So here's the great War Salvo system. It talks about some of the additional the previous editions, and one of the things that I've garnered from looking through this third edition is what they really added in third is more goodness, more ships, more stuff to pick and choose and have battles with. I don't think they've changed the rules a ton. Maybe some of these optional rules and the narrative stuff they've added a little bit, but it's really just more stuff. Here's how to use the book. Here's how you construct your components. Here's the layout of the ship key, and this is key. Imagine that. And with that, I need a sip. You guys can sip whenever you want. You can sip the whole time. So this is your ship key. So this is mainly what the main thing you're going to use in the book is you're going to have a counter for your ship. There's going to be a counter for your opposing ship. If you have multiple ships, you have multiple counters, and this tells you everything you need to know. Broadside, bow, stern, and that's to make a difference. If you're moving towards the enemy, then you're going to be using the bow bonus. If you're choosing broadsides or showing your broadside, then or not moving at all, then it's going to be the broadside bonus. And then if you're running away, or if they're running away, then it's going to be the stern, their stern, or if you're running away, your stern guns are going to be the bonus there. The bigger the guns go first, and they also have some modifiers based on the guns. You've got your flotation, turret. Those are kind of damage points. If you take so much flotation, you're going to have an issue. If you take so much turret, you're not going to be able to fire. If you take too much speed hits, then you're not going to be able to move. And then you have an armor bonus that's going to help you on the combat. And then there's a V rating that is, gotta have to look that one up. That's like I think that's like an optional role, but that's like a special rating that you have as well on here. So not a lot. There's a lot of numbers here, but you'll know when to use these. The rules are very simple on when to use these, how to use these. And that's about it, right? So kind of a nice little simple system there. Here's your introduction to the system. Then you've got the standard rules. So basically from page 6 to page 8 is the rules. So really you're looking at 3 pages here of rules. And it also has some charts. You have your weather chart. You're going to have the actions. And if you're, this is like initiative. So 1 to 3, the player goes first, 4 plus the enemy goes first. And that might be modified based on like speed and other things. Here are the actions that might happen. Your actions you can close, meaning you're trying to go closer to the enemy, and there's range bands that you can keep track of that. You don't necessarily need those, but you can keep that track of that on like a little range band chart. And then it tells you what's guns bearing, so which guns bonus you're going to be using. You can offer broadside. There's no change in your range band, and then it's going to be those broadside bonuses, which usually are greater because you're bringing more guns to bear, right? You're not having the limitation of what's facing forward or backwards. You've got you can put most of your guns to bear, and then if you're withdrawing, then you're moving one farther band away, and then you're using your stern gun. So pretty simple there, right? And then the AI is basically going to gear off of that. You're going to roll and see what's the enemy doing? Is it going to be closing, offering broadsides, or withdrawing? So so it's really simple. That's your actions, and then you make your decision on actions, and then it's rolling for combat. And that's a lot of what's going on, right? So not an overly complex system, but it gets right there, gets right into the nitty gritty of the combat. And that's what you have here. So you have your torpedoes, you have end of turn victory conditions. Then you have your game example. So it does give you a full game example here. And here's your primary game tables that you're going to need. Your weather, range, initiative, fire table. And then it's, whether there's a miss, what's going on, and then straddling. That's, you've gotten some kind of hits on there, and then you have to roll to see where those hits go. Whether they're flotation or turret or speed, or you could have a vulnerability hit or special or critical and the like this one right here, you're going to have 2 flotation, 1 speed, and 1 turret on that one. So this tells you what you need to do for hits. There's modifiers based on that, based on the target's armor, based on your range, based on your size of your gun, stuff like that. Here's your key to explain that table. Here's your special damage, which I don't think that's optional. I guess you can. I think that's automatically in there. I can't remember if I always use it because there's not that many rules. So adding the optional rules doesn't make this like, whoa, that's way too complex. It's a pretty simple game. So adding all the rules in just gives you a little bit more chrome and a little bit more flavor. So special damage, critical hits, then you got your vulnerability. That's where you use the V table. The V rating comes into place on the vulnerability when you roll a vulnerability hit. Here's your torpedo table for ships or vessels that have torpedoes. Here's your end of turn. So the game it doesn't have, the game can end early. It's got like a random ending, based on what's going away. It's like if the enemy keeps running away from you, there's a greater chance that the game's going to end because it's just going to get away. So there's some of those modifiers in here. Here's the solitaire enemy movement. So you roll 1 to 2, it closes. 3 to 4, it's offering broadside. 5, it's same as last turn, and 6 plus it's withdrawing. And plus there's a modifier based on if plus 1 to roll if player's ship has larger guns. So I mean it's if you got bigger guns, it's running away. Here's your actions. Here's your performance table, and there you have it. Here's the optional rules. Goes in a little bit more detail, dealing with your turrets and firing and torpedo and targets and stuff like that, but not a whole lot, right? That's 1 page of gunnery options. Here's your environmental options, mainly dealing with weather, game mechanics options, whether you want to do simultaneous movement. Here's where that narrative damage table comes into play. You're getting a little bit more story and flavor to the game. Low ammunition, crew quality, command control, flotation speed, loss of speed, pursuit and escape. So dead in the water, scuttling. So you got really on a very, very basic core system, it doesn't take much to really get a lot more flavor and realism, whatever that is, or simulation value with adding some of these optional rules. So I usually put them all in, mix them up, have myself some stew. Multi-ship optional rules. So this, if you want to use multiple ships, you can do. The game is really set up to do ship on ship, but you can throw in multiple ships, and here's some rules on that. Here's the scenario rules. We're talking about the scenarios, then you have the scenarios. So there's various scenarios that you have here, like A through O. Well, O is design your own, so A through N are some of the scenarios that are in here. But this is a game where, you can just do a random draw and just pull out some ships and have fun. It's really that easy to get to the table, or to, your little tray table that you have on an airplane, which is where I was playing it. Just make sure you pull off your counters before you have to put your tray table in its upright locked position. Designer notes here. Those are somewhat interesting. Narrative damage table. This is an optional rule that gives you, again, we're going a little bit more for story. Here's your narrative damage tables that they have in there. It's just giving you a little bit more what's happening, where's it happening. So, if you wanted to recreate, a story, a narrative, this is what happened, the seas were rough that day, and off in the horizon, we spotted the enemy. Whatever you want to do with that. Advanced optional rules. Here's so you've got optional rules, you got advanced optional rules. So here's submarine check. So you're getting a little bit, crew quality comes in a little bit more important, progressive damage effects. Again, there's just so much you have a really nice base, and then you just can build onto that. And the building onto that really doesn't make it that complex, especially if you play a lot of war games, or especially play a lot of naval war games. I mean, this is going to be easy peasy. Here's your sample range chart, so you can I made a copy of this, so I could use that. I kind of blew it up a little bit, so I could use that to mark the enemy ship and my ship. It makes it pretty easy. And here's the counters. Again, you're going to have to make copies of this. I just made copies and cut them out. They were on real thin paper. I didn't really make great versions of it, and I'll explain that in a little bit here why. But so here's all the different ships you get, and these are the counters. I mean, these become really small, especially if you're just cutting them on small thin paper. But your flotation hits, your turret hits, speed hits, and stuff like that, if you want to keep track. I mean, it's easy enough to just keep a track on a notepad too, if that's instead of trying to keep track of these tiny counters. There's some range, trying to keep track of range that way. But there's several counters, several nationalities, as you can see here. I mean, most of the rest of this book is that. There's just page after page, and the third edition, as I said, really adds a lot of these into the mix. As you see, there's a lot here, and we're getting into Japanese here. I mean, there's just tons of content in here. I mean, it's awesome. And then here's a reference card. I think that's very similar to the one on the back. Yeah. So here's a reference card that if you wanted to make a copy of that, or heaven forbid, pull this out. And so that's a nice little game aid right there of the primary charts that you need. And I can attest that covers most of what you need. You need to be familiar with what the readings are on the counter, but other than that, the charts give you most of it. Here's some of their other games that Minden produces, and then notes. And you even have a full color note page. Look at that. Look at that. And there you have it. So what is the, sorry for the shaking there, but what is the next, what's the bonus content? Well, you can actually buy a component set. So I got this directly from Minden, Great War Salvo 3rd edition component set. And this gives you the counter sheets, a reference card. I haven't opened this up yet. So let's get in here and see what we have in here. Now, again, Minden is not going to be mounted counters. It's not going to be your high quality stuff that you're expecting to get. But but you do get, I mean, this is it's a little bit thicker cardstock. It's about the same that you would expect from like a player aid in most board or box games. So here's a little reference card here. That's the same one that was like on the back here, and the one that was towards the end there. So it gives you the main charts you're going to need right there. And then you have the rest of this is just going to be stacks. It's going to be all those pages that you saw in the book of, thin, thicker than paper, but, still like player aid thickness type boards. But you're going to get sheet, I guess you call this a counter sheet. It's just a postcard here of these different ships. So you have to cut these out yourself. And that's making up your components. So that's one reason why I made some copies of a few ships and just made them on regular paper and cut them and then threw them in a little envelope, actually, and took the envelope along with, I didn't even take the book with me. I just took pictures of some of the rules and the card on my phone, grabbed some of these and a die, and that range thing I made a copy of, and that was it. And I could put that in an envelope and take that, or an envelope, and take that with me on the trip. So there you have it. So those are the, this is a nice little thing. It's a little bit thicker. I still might make my own counters at some point, but even this is easier to copy than if I wanted to make a copy and then on like a sticker page. Sometimes what I do is I'll find a sticker page This might work. I think you can, like, if you do, if that's like a full page, sometimes you find those stickers that are half and half a page, and then make a copy. Then you can cut, put these on um, a little bit thicker, cardboard or some kind of base, and then cut them out, and the sticker's already on there. I've done that on making my own counters. I don't do a lot of that, but I've done a little bit of that, and this is easier to copy and do that than trying to break the spine of the book over and over again. Um, so here you have it. Here's the Dreadnought. Here's Ajax. So you can see, it's Britain. The big guy's a 13-inch gun there. So broadsides is +7. That's pretty big. I mean, that's a biggie. So just give you an idea of some of the stuff on there. So that's it. And why do I like this game? I think, well, if you can't tell, I mean, I like this primarily for a lot of the reasons I said. It's a very simple system. I mean, the basic game is really easy. It's just those 3 actions, close, offer broadside, or withdraw. So there's not a whole, I'm not going to put that back in there. There's not a whole lot to scratch your head over, right? I mean, the system is relatively simple. What's the enemy doing? Are they going away? Are they coming towards? Or are they sitting there offering broadsides? And then you make your decision and do combat and rinse and repeat, right? And you just keep doing that until the scenario's over, or until someone's sunk, or until someone runs away, and the scenario ends early. There's different ways in which this could end, depending on the scenario or depending upon that early ending. Also, I mean, you just make up your own stuff. I mean, again, I didn't play any scenarios. I just grabbed I made a couple of copies, or copied a couple of the sheets, and then cut them out just on regular paper, but they were released in color. And then I just threw a couple ships down. And then let's throw out a German, and let's throw out a British ship, and let's go to town, and just started rolling, and started doing the process of initiative and enemy action, enemy AI, and combat, and so on. And that's fun. I mean, the basic rules are, it's more filler, but it's fun. It's a neat little exercise, especially sitting, cooped up on a plane, because I was actually stuck on the tarmac in Newark, in New Jersey, for over 3 hours. Yeah, that's a long story. Actually, I think I talk about it if you go look at my From the Road video, my first one on West Point, kind of go into a little bit more detail about that story. But so I'm stuck on, if you're stuck on a plane, this was a nice little distraction there. But as I said, the rules that you can add on, the optional rules, are not that more complex. That doesn't add that much more complexity. Even the advanced optional rules, don't add a whole lot more. If you add everything in, you're still a little bit under probably a regular boxed game of content as far as complexity and what you got to keep track of. And plus, if you stick to just ship on ship combat, it's real easy to keep track of. The multiple ship gives you a little bit more to kind of track and know who's doing what, but not that much more. So that's why I like this the best. It's a very simple system, easy. It's something I can pick up. And again, I play a lot of games, and I play, and there's a lot of breaks in between me playing certain games. So like, I'll play a game, and it might be months or years, several decades before I play the game again. That's happened. So picking it up and trying to get to the rules again becomes like, okay, that's going to take some time. This one, I can play it. Seriously, I can put this down for a decade and pick it up and go, okay, I know this, I got this. I might have to read some of if I want to go add in the advanced stuff, I might have to read up on that a little bit. But the basic gameplay is, I got it. This is easy peasy, lemon squeezy. So anyway, that's why I like this. Very portable, very easy to get to. And sorry about that. I guess I just took a broadside. So that's why I like this. And really simple system. Again, if you're wanting super hyper realism, this is not, don't be looking here, right? Look away. Look away. I'll give you some time. If you're wanting super hyper realism, this is not what you're looking for. But if you're looking for something that's very accessible, something you can really easily get to the table, something you can play against somebody, but you just want, if you're by yourself, you want to get some good old World War I naval action going. This is I don't know much better than this. This is pretty easy to get to, and this has come from somebody. I played the living daylights out of Battle Wagon back in the days, the old I think it was Task Force game, which had like Markov ship rosters that was very reminiscent of Starfleet battles. Where you had marked off all these boxes of damage on the ship and stuff like that. And I played that a lot, and played it solo a lot. This takes out all all the time and effort that game took. This cuts it down to a tenth of that. I mean, this is just throw it down, put two ships out, start rolling, and until one's gone, either ran away or on the bottom of the ocean. So anyway, that's what I have for you today. Great War Salvo. If any of those things I said interest you, then definitely pick this up. If this is not your cup of tea, cup of coffee, cup of whatever, because it's just not meaty enough, it's not realistic enough, whatever that means, it doesn't give you enough decisions or enough chrome, that's fine. I understand that too, but I like it. So that's what I have for you today. Thanks for spending some time with me. I'm going to go finish off my my cup of coffee here and see what the rest of the day holds for me, and I hope it holds some great stuff for you all as well. Thanks all. Thanks for watching.